just having the ability to make the right decision at the right time. That's something as sports people we always strive for. I've always strive for that, and certainly watching him play over the years, I've learned a hell of a lot, and something that I've taken on board with my play and my cricket as well. So just an incredible career, everything he's achieved. Congratulations to him. He'll be missed at the international level, but luckily we do have him for a few more years, hopefully at the IPL.
Exactly, and that's about to start in the next couple of weeks. You raise a very interesting point there, just in your answer. You say that you're actually a fan. It must be quite strange for people who'll be watching this and people that'll watch this afterwards, and they'll go, how can AB de Villiers be a fan of somebody else? And it rings true, doesn't it? Even though you may be able to achieve everything that you can achieve in your sport, you still look at other people to try and improve or to get better.
Absolutely, but as I mentioned, it's got a lot to do with his character. His personality doesn't really allow you to get too close to him. He's a very reserved character. I think he's the kind of guy, if I just sum him up, he really enjoys time at home, family time, doing his own thing in nature, things that I've read about him. He likes shooting and all sorts of different stuff. He loves his motorbikes. He's a very reserved character that really sort of has a really good mixture between professional life and away from the game, you know what I mean? So I'm 100% a fan with the way he's played the game and the way he's treated himself off the field. Always very reserved, very kind to everyone. He's always made time for people, and once he switches off, he really switches off properly.
Yeah, I mean, I played one season with him in Pune, and he was our skipper, and it's amazing the kind of adulation and the praise that he gets and how he's worshipped walking through airports, and he's still the calm guy that just says yes, no worries, and has a million pictures. I mean, it's admirable what he's done. So I suppose it's a ringing glorified session of celebration for an amazing career. But we're going to get on to you, sir, Mr. de Villiers, your introduction to sport, the alchemist in every sport, and choosing cricket. Now, you could have chosen golf, cricket, tennis, rugby. You could have been a scientist. You could have been a magician. You could have been everything. You're one of those people that we all love to hate. Why cricket? Why did you choose the job that you do now?
I've had to answer this question a few times before. KP, to be honest with you, it's I think I've always had the ability to really to commit to something that I've wanted to do, whether that was cricket or golf or academics at the time, just being a good brother to my older brothers or a good son to my parents. I've been naughty at times, but I've always, when I've decided to commit to something, I've done it well. And I think cricket's got to go to the way I was brought up by my parents. They taught me that way. If you commit to something, do it properly rather than not do it. So, yes, there's talent, and I've always had the ability to play with, to sort of test my skill in sports and various kinds of sports. But it's more to do with an attitude and the ability to commit to something and to properly commit and not to do things halfway. Long story short, I don't think I could have made it in other sports, to be honest with you, but it's also got to do with my character and personality. I don't like to think too much about myself. I enjoy the person that I am, but I wouldn't like to say that I could have made it in any sport and could have made success in other areas. But one thing that I do know is if I'd chosen to play cricket or golf, or whatever the case may be,
well, we may have lost Baby there for a second. I think, and I hope that he can reboot and he can jump back on. That's the thing with technology. You get these sessions that work, and then you get occasions where they don't work. And hopefully we can get Mr. de Villiers and he can jump back on board. It's amazing. You can see that from somebody who is such a superstar, somebody who literally controls the crease when he walks out to bat, somebody who knows exactly what he's going to do whenever he goes out and does his job, but he can still admire other sportsmen, and he can admire Mahendra Singh Dhoni. And it's quite incredible, and I think we may have got him back now. You're back.
I'm back. Sorry, I lost you guys there for a minute. I don't know what happened.
No problem. I think so. Just to go on from that, AB, education, and this is an educational platform, education is one thing. Would you say that in terms of all the students that will be watching this, that education, they should be putting education first, and if sport comes, because there will be a lot of people that are amazing at all sorts of things, all sorts of subjects, all sorts of sports, all sorts of arts. Do you say, or put your finger on, education is definitely something you've got to pursue really well? Or do you say, hey, if you're good at sport, just go and play sport?
That's really a difficult question. I don't think there's a right answer, to be honest with you. The way I did it wasn't necessarily the way someone else needs to do it. I didn't go for education after school as at first. It was always in the back of my mind, and my parents always pushed me to get some sort of a degree. I went to Tux University right after school. I studied for about 4 months, and in that 4 months, while I was playing cricket, I started excelling at cricket. And I had a chat to my parents. I went to see them personally, and I said, listen, I'm seeing some results with this game. I've spoken to Dave Nosworthy, who was the coach of the Titans at the time, and he gave me the advice of really giving it a go. He felt I could go a long way. And that's the decision I made, but I always had education at the back of my mind. And even though my international career started shortly after, it was always something I wanted to do. I did some online courses. I've done 3 now through a course called Get Smarter. So there are always opportunities to really stimulate the brain, and I think that's vitally important. You don't necessarily have to go straight off and get a degree before you can do sports. You can try and do both, and you can.
Have you done those now while you've been playing?
I've done those in the last 7 years. Yes, I've done a business management course, one on property, and another one on property. I've done 2 different property courses.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's always been important to me. The dream and the ideal of getting a degree behind my name, never realised. It might still, who knows? But I sort of saw another opportunity to do shorter courses online to stimulate my brain while I'm doing my profession, which was cricket.
Wow, fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. And I suppose, that's again something that a lot of the listeners can take into account. How old were you when you made the decision, when you started to see results in cricket? Was that 18, 19 years of age, or was it 20? Was it a little bit later?
No, it was right after school. I just turned 19 in Feb that year, and I went to Tux, started studying from Jan till about May. Yeah. And in May, I became a regular in the Titans squad, and not a few months later, even I was selected for the SA team. And somewhere in between there, I went to see my parents, and I said, listen, the studies, thank you so much for supporting me, but I'm going to give this thing a go for a while. I can always come back and do the studies.
How quickly did you break into that, not just get into the game in the Titans, and for everybody watching, the Titans is a franchise in South Africa where AB lives. How quickly did you get into that makeup? How quickly did you cement your place in the team? Was that straight in, right, true devillier's style, 100, right, I need SAA 100, and then straight into the Proteas?
Certainly not, no. I was struggling actually with my 4-month period at University of Pretoria. I was really struggling to get into the first team. I played for the second team of Tux. Wow. For the 5 months I was there. Wow. Because I played SA under 19, and Dave Nosworthy was the coach for the SA under 19s at the time I played there. I had a way in there with the Titans squad. Past the University of Pretoria, if you know what I mean.
But if you're playing so well for Tux, but you were in the second team, you couldn't make the first team. How did you then go straight into the Titans?
Yeah, because Dave Nosworthy was the coach there. There was a 2003 World Cup warm-up game for Canada that some of the Titans guys couldn't play, like Jacques Rudolph. A few guys sat out. And Nosworthy, because he knew me from SA under 19 level, gave me a punt, and he gave me an opportunity to open the batting. And that's where I can come in and say, so it didn't happen quickly, but in those opportunities that I got, I really took my chance. I scored 100 in that game. Oh, wow. I was out again for a few months. When I got another opportunity in a first-class game, my debut, I scored 2 50s in a row. So I took my opportunities at the right time. And then, obviously, I went back to Tux. All of a sudden, I was in the first team for Tux, scored some hundreds there. And from there on, my career kick-started.
Talking about opportunities, do you put more pressure on yourself when you know, hey, this is a game that I need to win? So when you go back with Coley and you batted with some of the South African players, the Callises and all that over your passage of play. Have you put pressure on yourself with opportunities? Because, I mean, that's a huge opportunity. I know Canada isn't one of the bigger nations of cricket, but that is a huge opportunity for you as a kid. Did you put more pressure on yourself then? Or do you put the same amount of pressure then as you do if you're batting with Kohli to win a game for RCB?
It is a weird thing. I don't know how to explain it, but the nearest way of explaining it to me is when I'm an average golfer now, but when I play with someone that's a really good golfer, exactly. But when I play with a Louis Westhuizen or any else, I lift my game, and all of a sudden I hit shots that, like, I think to myself, wow. So I think when I was coming in as a youngster, you have a lot of pressure on yourself to use your opportunities. But I look at the other end, Jacques Ellis is there, and I can't just trail behind. I've got to lift my game to show that I belong here. So yes, it is pressure, but it's a weird mental thing where there's a bit of pressure taken off you because there's nothing expected of you. They're expecting Callis to win the game. Everyone's expecting Ernie Els to shoot a 67 when I'm playing with him, and I'm just going to trade along. And all of a sudden, I hit a couple of shots that's actually matching with him. Same with the cricket. I've always felt those situations where the team's in a lot of trouble. We're 5 down, and I'm the guy that's recognised as the only batter still. There's a lot of pressure on you, but also not really, because there's not a lot of expectation really for you to come on. And that's when I've always been at my most dangerous.
Okay, so let me give you an example. Now you're leading into the IPL. There surely is a lot of pressure on you now going into the IPL and not actually building an innings when you are 5 down, so Kohli's out and everybody's out. There's a different pressure now leading into the IPL. How do you deal with that pressure leading into the IPL? Because a lot of these listeners will be dealing with pressure every single day, and it's important to hear from people like yourself on how you deal with it. How do you manage expectation?
Yeah, so things changed as I progressed in my career. So now I'm not that youngster anymore who's playing with the Callis. Now I feel I rely on my experiences. I rely on the way I prepare. I rely on my mental memories, things that I've gone through in the past, some happy memories, some bad memories as well. I'm a lot quicker on my feet these days when it comes to thinking, and that's purely experience, but also the way you prepare. So I can go to the IPL now and really keep myself and go, you know what, you're still as good as the youngsters of today and Kohli's and all of them, and that's just simply not true. I haven't played for a while, and I know that. So to be honest with myself is the most important thing, to go there with a mindset of, listen, I'm a youngster again, in my mind. I'm here to learn. I'm going to put in the hard yards. Every single net session, I'm going to use everything I can to make sure I'm up to standard when that moment comes. And when the moment comes around, it's all about muscle memory, some past memories of experiences, and then I truly believe in myself and the fact that I've played 15 years of international cricket. When the moment comes around for me to clinch a game out of nowhere, I'll still have that memories and that experience to do so.
Yeah, that's, I suppose, built up having done it before. So you have to have done it before. It's training your brain, right?
Absolutely.
Cementing your spot on the national team obviously came from taking opportunities, being the face of overseas victories. I mean, that again you just talked about. Inventing new shots and dives. So I suppose you've also answered this in getting yourself to a level of playing with a Callis who's experienced, or playing with Virat who's lauded as much as he is in India. These shots, do they just come naturally to you? Is it something you practice, or is it do they just feel like, I mean, my switch hit, I always get asked a million questions about the switch hit, and I just say it's like a backhanded squash shot where you get around and you just give it a whack this way. But I mean, that game 4 or 5 years ago where you started ramping Dale and you started reverse whacking Dale, I mean, is that stuff that you've practiced, or is that, right, I'm in here and I've been given a God-given talent that I can literally, on my day, try crazy things and pull them off?
I must be honest, I never practiced those shots. But what I can say is at that time and the moments that I remember going back, facing Dale in the couple of overs and really looking like I'm on top of my game, I really had my basics cemented. I worked really hard at my game. I was seeing the ball exceptionally well. I felt I knew the pace of my innings. The preparation fell into place, Coach, and with those innings, every single time, I never lied to myself. I always felt like I've laid the foundation, I've done the hard yards, and I've earned the right to really go and and sort of just let my mind go a bit and free up and do what I feel that's required at the time. And so I don't practice those shots, but I like to feel that my basics are in place. I'm fit, I'm healthy, I'm hitting the ball nice and straight, I'm hitting it late, I see the ball out of the bowler's hands. Once those basics are in place, the world's your oyster, and you can really start playing around at the right time. And that's important to be honest with yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I've never ever interviewed, apart from a couple of one-on-one interviews there on the side of the field, but do you sometimes get into a situation where you know exactly what the bowler's going to deliver and you know exactly where it's going to, so subconsciously there's something inside you that is telling you, I know where this ball's going and I'm going to hit you there, and by, whether it's a stroke of luck or it just happens, it just happens.
Absolutely, and it's a shame it doesn't happen often enough.
I know, me too. I had that on occasion. It's the best thing ever.
As good as that feeling is, I've had a lot of moments in my career where I've had no idea where the ball's going to go, and I have no idea if I'm going to hit it or not. So,
and I was going to come to that.
Yeah, that's the beautiful balance of the game we play. It's a leveler. And I mean, you got to respect certain moments, and that's what I mentioned before. I was always honest with myself with my special knocks that I had to lay the foundation. I always took the time to see the shape in the air and try and feel what the bowler's trying to do and the captain, and sort of get to a moment where you feel like, okay, I've earned the right. I can sort of start to express myself, and they don't always come off, but then you take a bit of learning again and you move on.
I mean, what you've mentioned a few times, and you don't know if you've been conscious of mentioning it, but you mentioned a few times earning the right, and you've got to have the basics right. And even though you're able to get into positions in games where it looks like it's just a 4s and 6s show, and I've called that many games where it literally is a 4s and 6s show with you batting, but you're right, it's earning the right, it's understanding and securing your position and your place at the crease by doing all the hard yards. It didn't come easy to you. It's never come easy to you.
It hasn't. There's no doubt about it. And I've had a lot of seasons in my life where, I mean, I think back to 2006-07, where I've been in tears in the shower, not having a clue where Sean Pollock was throwing underarmers to me in the nets. Yeah. The day before the test match, and he was telling me, like, hold the bat with your right hand now, not just with your left hand. I mean, that's a very dark place to be in, the day before a test match against England and Australia and all the opposition. Yeah. And so I've been through those moments as well. It definitely doesn't always come easy. And some of my best knocks in my life, I can clearly remember going through 6 to 10 balls where I felt to myself I could get out in any stage.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of just really holding back, putting that chest out, carrying strong body language, making eye contact with the opposition, and almost like faking it. Yeah. For a while, it turns around so quickly where all of a sudden you feel like, hold on, I feel in, and things change. Bowler bowls you one bad ball out of the middle, and your whole innings changes around, and the bowlers start seeming like they're nervous. The captain starts a lot of field changes, and all of a sudden you become a dangerous batter. So it's a matter of hanging in the dark times, and you can get through it.
What's been your darkest moment in cricket?
There's been a few.
No, that's fine. I mean, with me too. There's been a few. As well as there's been some amazing stuff, there's been some times where you go, I don't know if cricket's my thing.
Batting wise, and purely from a technical point of view, 2006, we had India and Pakistan touring here. You know the bowler very well, Mohammad Asif. I think we both rate him as one of the best bowlers to ever have played the game. Yeah. He kept me very busy for 6 innings in a row here in South Africa. I was doing the batting at the time, and I mean, that's where Polly was throwing underarmers to me, and I felt like I was a 10-year-old youngster. It was embarrassing. We had the press there behind the nets, and I was doing underarmers with one hand, and I mean, the next minute I'm facing the new ball, and Asif is going, thanks for coming. So that was dark, and that's where I found myself crying in the shower, thinking, I'm throwing my career away because I don't know. And the coach came to me and said, listen, it's possibly your last test match. You're going to have to find some runs here somewhere. And I mean, it was just somehow I got through it. Some good leadership in the team, Graham Smith, Callis, Boucher. A couple of good mentors in my life that really just kept me positive, telling me to focus on the moments, one ball at a time. That sort of got me through. I scraped a 50 in Cape Town, that bought me a little bit of time, and I got through it.
Amazing. Just flicking to mentors, this is something that I was going to speak to you about, and I know there's a lot of people who will be watching thinking, well, I know this person who knows me very well. Is it important to have that person by your side, whether it's a friend or a mum or a dad or a teacher or a lecturer?
I don't think it's someone you need to go and look for, but it's something you need to be open about. You must be open to accept that in your life, and that person might just come around at the right time, which has happened for me. And I believe that if you're open for it, attitude-wise, you will get a couple of people coming across at the right time, saying the right thing at the right time. Nothing too complicated, but a couple of good phrases at the right time. I think of Gary Kirsten and John T. Rhodes, and then it gets more personal as well. My brothers, my parents. People saying the right thing at the right time, where you can just reset and sit back and go, you know what, let's slow down a bit. I'm rushing through this way too much. And that's basically it. I can think of 5 people maybe that's that influence on me. And that's purely because I've always been open to that, to allowing that person into my life at the right time. So
you still use it?
Definitely. I mean, I don't hassle them and they don't hassle me. It's not necessarily my best friend. It's someone that out of nowhere would just send a text message, or I will call him. Gary Kirsten is one. We'll maybe speak twice a year, but it's always very influential chats. It's straight to the point. It's something that he saw, or it'll be something that happened in the media, and it'll just be a 1-minute chat. Listen, how are you doing? Just remember that person that I spoke to at Wellington at the harbour. You remember that, AB? Gary would tell me that, and I was like, yes. He said, just remember that's who you are, and no one can change that. So little things like that, and that's the end of the phone call, but that's the kind of mentorship that's had a huge influence in my life.
Yeah, I had still got very similar with Graham Ford. Exactly the same. No matter where they are, they can see what's happening because they know the real AB de Villiers, or they know the real whoever that they are mentoring or looking after. Just with India, I mean, we all know when we turn up at grounds and you and Carly are on show that there is a big love affair, RCB in particular. How much has that meant to you in your career, the adoration that you can get jumping from an aeroplane in Johannesburg to Mumbai, landing in India?
It's almost impossible to describe what it's meant to me in my life and my career. I mean, it's something I never dreamed of. It's something that never crossed my mind. As I said, as a youngster, it's always been important to me to have a good attitude, and I had role models like a John T. Watching him play on telly, I've always felt like he played the game in the right way. He didn't always necessarily do well, but it looked like he was having fun. So that's always been my motto, to go out and have fun and to try and change games, entertain, especially my teammates. I've always wanted to surprise my teammates and impress them. And somehow it sort of just happened in India that I had a way of enjoying the game so much that they enjoyed the way I was enjoying it. And I don't know, it started slowly developing throughout a couple of IPLs, and I was swept off my feet completely when we toured there for an ODI series, which we ended up winning in the final at Mumbai. But I honestly had support almost more than what I had in South Africa at the time. It was incredible, and I was lying awake at night in bed thinking, I don't know what's going on here. I was calling my mom, saying, did you hear that? Did you just hear what happened? So it's changed my life completely, and I'll forever be grateful. I don't know how to explain it other than that. I mean, I play a simple game of cricket, and that's all I do.
But that's football as well. I mean, the Indian public are they're not stupid. They can see something good when they see it, and they'll also see somebody who is committed to their country and to their culture and to the people, and they can see that you are fully inclusive of everything, and you try your best to put on the best show possible.
I think so. It's an amazing country. I mean, it's a population of over 1 billion people who absolutely love the game of cricket. So there's always an opportunity to get a spark going there. If you play cricket and you love what you do and you hit some good shots, there's always going to be that relationship, but not in the way I've seen it happen. I mean, I've got the biggest love ever for the fans of cricket in India and the people of India, the culture they have, the way they look after their own players, but also opposition players. I mean, they respect everyone. And also, if you cross the boundary and you're sort of a little bit naughty and you disrespect the game, they let you know as well. So they know exactly what's happening there, which I love about them. They're very honest people, very welcoming, and it's been a life changer for me to have had the opportunity to tour there.
You said you're not going to be there in the next couple of months. Obviously, coronavirus is what it is, but you're happy you're going to be playing for RCB, but sad you're not going to be at the Chinnaswamy?
It's not going to be the same. Look, I'm just happy the IPL is going ahead. It's a fantastic brand. It's great. It's great quality of cricket. I'm heartbroken that it's not going to be in India. I love touring around there. I love playing at the Chinnaswamy especially. I mean, at least the tournament's going on. There's not a lot of damage being done to the brand of the tournament. And hopefully next year, come 2021, we arrive back in India when we have one hell of a time then the IPL game.
Maybe you guys can try and win one that's outside of India. One that actually doesn't matter. Maybe you guys can do something for a change and fulfill all the expectation.
You never know. Sport's a funny game, and cricket's a funny game. It takes one little moment somewhere in this IPL, and who knows, we end up winning 3 or 5 in a row. So I don't think we're far away. It's just a matter of going out there and do it.
Bubble to bubble to bubble to bubble to bubble.
Exactly. We take it as it comes.
The commentators, I've heard it's going to be exactly the same. We're going to be in all these biosecure bubbles all over the place. It's going to be very interesting. There's going to be a lot of extra things that we're going to have to worry about and take care of. But I agree with you. As long as the game's going, we're good. The man of many hats, National Medal for Science Project, music album, fashion icon. Now, I don't understand the fashion icons when you're wearing a jumper like you've got on at the moment. I mean, did you sleep in that last night?
In my pajamas. I'm kidding. No, it's funny you mentioned that. It's just a normal little super dry jersey, Kev. There's nothing wrong with it. But I promise you, about 2 weeks ago, I had it on. I was visiting my parents. And the first comment my dad made when I walked into the house, like, why are you wearing pajamas? I mean, and I was like, Dad, there's nothing wrong with this jersey.
There's nothing wrong with it. Apart from it looking like their pajamas, there's nothing wrong with it. The music album, now I have seen snippets of it. Can you explain, is this a wind-up, or is this you actually thinking you've got a career? Because, I mean, you don't. I'm telling you don't. But is it just a wind-up?
No. There's a big love for music. It's definitely not a career. I've never thought along those lines.
Okay,
I've actually always enjoyed writing. I like writing songs. I'm definitely not a Pavarotti. I don't have that angel voice, but I love playing guitar. I love singing around campfires, and specifically writing and producing songs. So,
what have you written? Any good?
What's that?
Have you written anything good? Is it sold? Has it got big numbers? Is it
the album we did a few years back? That was a bit of a trial run, and I don't think it was amazing. Most of it was in Afrikaans. I wrote most of it, which was the most fantastic experience ever.
Wow.
And then recently, a couple of months back, I collaborated with a girl called Karen Zoid. I was on a show, we did a song together, and she's a very famous singer in South Africa, and the song came out really well. We did half the song was an Elvis Presley song, and half the song was Afrikaans. We got it together, we sang it together, it came out really well. So now tomorrow morning we are recording another one, and it will be released. And it's not a cricket song, it's an English song, which is nice, but I wrote the song, which is very lekker.
Wow.
Yeah, so that will be released somewhere along the IPL, and hopefully the people will enjoy it.
Jesus, bravo.
It's still my career.
Gail, devilliersunacademy. Did I miss something?
Well, we can always pull you in there. Can you play something?
No. I know exactly. I know my limits. I'm not like you blokes who can do absolutely everything. I know my limits, dude. I'm leading up to the misses.
Look, I'm not trying to. I've never tried to ride the cricket name to try and get music. I love music. I like writing. I like playing guitar. And this girl, she wants me to be involved with what she's doing. So we're really enjoying our time together. We're writing together. And I mean, if people want to buy it and listen to the song and get some inspiration from it, fantastic. If not, it's just nice for me to have that experience of recording in a studio and doing all of that.
What's it about? What is the song about?
It's a bit of a fan song. It's about going through tough times. It's basically my career that we just spoke about. going through ups and downs and just working your way through it. It's called fan the flame. So if there's a fire and you're burning down, if you fan it, the fire gets bigger, and it might just turn out to become this bushfire, felt fire that changes the world kind of thing, you know. So the point is not getting down in yourself. If there's a bit of a fire in your life, use the fire and get it bigger and let it run.
Have you got a little bit of a rendition of the chorus for us here?
I'm afraid to say we'll keep it a secret for now. Thanks, KP.
Keep it for tomorrow morning.
I've got to learn I've got to go through the lyrics tonight and the melody, because she changed the melody overnight last night, and I've got to do some work after our chat now.
Beautiful, love it. Ever feel like picking up another sport and starting? I know golf's your thing, isn't it? Golf or tennis? Golf. And we played last year in Scotland together. Wow, most fantastic week. But
tennis was definitely by a long way my strongest suit back in the day. It was almost too much. I stopped when I was 14, purely because it's almost a 7-a-day-a-week kind of sport. You know, you're going to drill yourself. I did drill myself. My mom was my coach. I played all the tournaments around the country. I never had a holiday. I got to Affie's high school, and I just decided I don't want this anymore. I got the taste of team sports, cricket, rugby, and I just decided, okay, that's me for life. I'm a team sport kind of guy. I've had enough of this individual thing.
Yeah, it's amazing. Hey, there's two different types of people. I mean, I'm trying to get my son into golf, and he has got no interest because he's got to sit there by himself or stand there by himself and hit golf balls. And as much as I want him to do it, he just wants to play football, he wants to play cricket, he wants to play all these games that are team sports. It's just a different kind of personality, I suppose.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you got to let them do what they want to do.
Yeah, 100%. As long as they're happy, they've got to go and do what they've got to do. Besides sports, what do you love most? I think we've gone into it, music. Which striking dressing room incidents do you always remember? The win in Australia, that was up there for you? Any others?
Yes, and against you guys as well. The Edgbaston when Smithy scored that 150. Sorry, but there's a specific moment that I'll never forget. We were driving back to the hotel in the bus, and Mackay and Tini always sat at the back by himself because he enjoyed his own space, and he's always quite loud, you know, in the dressing room. So people didn't get too close to him, but there was a particular moment there when he started singing Shores of Laws at the back. After that series, and the whole team ended up at the back on his seat, and we were all singing together Shores of Laws. That's probably my favourite moment of my career, celebrating a win. And then obviously the Aussie wins were always very special. It doesn't happen every day that you go there and win a series, so I really enjoyed it.
Anything you regret in your career? Is there anything there that you regret or you done?
I would say reacting to media. It's always ended in a bad way. To media or fans.
I've never known anyone to react to the media. I've never reacted to the media.
Yeah, I've reacted a couple of times to media and to fans giving me some criticism, and it never ended well. I mean, you fan the flame, as my song goes tomorrow. That's probably something I regret, and especially towards the end of my career where I felt I deserved the right to be left alone. The media started niggling at me, and I really I didn't enjoy that, and I started making some silly decisions and reacting at bad times in press conferences where it was really uncalled for. And I think the worst of that is maybe it affected my teammates, and that's what I don't enjoy about that, because you become drawn up in your own issues so much that you start affecting people around you, and that's what I regret. I did move past it and sort of fixed it quickly with my teammates, but it's still something I regret.
And you would have played for South Africa in the T20 World Cup coming up? Those were your plans, huh?
I was interested. I spoke to Belchi and Graham at the time, and I mean it's not over, but it's definitely just on pause for now, and we'll see how we go after this IPL. Hopefully I'll score some runs, and if I hear from them, then I know I'm playing well, and there's a chance of me still being involved in the future.
You want to play for South Africa again?
I'd love that, yes. I would really love that. I would love to win a World Cup with the guys. But there's a lot that needs to fall in place. I mean, Cricket South Africa is in a funny place at the moment.
Really?
There's a lot there's a lot happening. There's people resigning there. With our CEO and our president have stepped down overnight now.
That's a cricket guy.
We'll see how we go, Cabs. One day at a time for now.
play for South Africa?
What was that?
When last did you play for South Africa?
My last game was in 2018 in a test match against the Aussies when we beat them 3-1 here at home. Yeah.
Amazing to wear the Prodigy uniform again.
Yeah.
Right, let's go into this knockout. We're almost done. Who is your best friend from your cricketing career? Who's your best cousin?
I'd say South African circles probably Morne Morkel. We lived together for about 6 years in the start of our career, and then during our career as well. We stayed in touch. We're certainly best mates in the Proteas setup. He's in Aussie at the moment, so we don't see each other a lot, but he's my bestie here. And then Indian circles, obviously Virat. I mean, we get along very well. We've had some fantastic knocks together, but I really enjoy him off the field. The way he's a bit of a thinker, and I don't think a lot of people knows that about him, but I love having conversations with him, and he gets quite deep, which is nice. I like that.
Yeah. Favorite T20 match?
Favorite T20 match? I'd say IPL against Mumbai Indians. I scored 100 at the Wankhede Stadium. Virat was at the other end. We had 100 or 200 partnership.
Right.
That was my favorite knock. I mean, Bumrah was running in there. Malinga, who's that lefty again from New Zealand? He was bowling. McLennan, he was bowling well at the time. And they had a couple of good spinners, Harbhajan and I think Brunel just came in on the scene. So they had a good bowling attack, and it was just a very nice knock.
Comfort food, cheat meal?
Oh, butter chicken with a garlic naan and a bit of dal makhni. When I'm in India. Yeah, otherwise, I love pizza. Just go to a good Italian restaurant here in South Africa, make some good pizzas. I love any pizza.
Can you make a pizza? Have you got a wood-fired oven at home?
I do indeed, yes. I get bases. I don't do my own base anymore. I've tried it. It's not that easy, but I get a base and then I put my toppings on. We get that pizza oven going.
Beautiful. I think I've seen it actually on one of your posts, or you.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Favorite Indian could have been there. If not a sports person, what else?
So I always had this dream as a youngster. My dad is a doctor, so if I went into education after school, I would have absolutely loved to do medicine and to become a doctor like my dad. I think that was actually one of his dreams, to get one of his sons to become a doctor, and none of us did. So possibly that. Come again?
Did you get the grades to be a doctor, to go into medicine?
Possibly not. I did too much sport at school. I think if I really, as I said before, if I committed properly, who knows?
Yeah. AB's mantra to cricket, what is it? I mean, I think we've heard a lot about earning the right.
I think keeping your feet on the ground and not getting ahead of yourself. Understanding what works for you and not for someone else, and not trying to be someone else, but understanding yourself as a person, and then to be honest with yourself.
Love it. Question and answer.
And the rights, yes.
Yeah. No, exactly. And you said it on numerous occasions, and it's right. You have to earn the right. All the students watching this and listening to this, you got to earn the right. And I think we've lost Mr. Devillier's again, and hopefully he comes back. We've done the majority of the work. There's just a couple of questions for him to answer. But I also know that there's a couple for me to answer. So why don't we go to my first question? And it is, what would your all-time World 11 be? Now, I had done some work on this, and I knew that this was coming up. My opening batsman, I mean, AB, we were going to a Q&A session. We'll go back to you, actually, because this is actually all about you, and we'll start with you. I was just about to get into one of the questions was about a World 11 for me, but you know, as Mr. 360 on the field, do you have to live up to that title in your daily life, say in South Africa or in India?
Absolutely. I understand that question as to being a good dad, being a good father. I have a father and a husband to my wife as well. So I think if you can have that balance between what you do in your daily life and your profession, going to work every day, but also coming home and giving that kind of energy and that 360-degree kind of attitude to your family and your wife and to your friends around you, having a good balance in life, I think is really important. So, yeah, you need a 360-degree kind of attitude to achieve that.
Great answer. One for me, all-time World 11. I wrote this down earlier, actually. Sehwag, Hayden, Ricky Ponting, Virat, Callis, De Villiers, Sangakkara, Dale Steyn, Shoaib Akhtar, Then I went Muhammad Asif or James Anderson, Muralitharan.
Oh, good luck.
How's it? Imagine trying to get runs against that bowling attack. You've got Shoaib and Anderson, or Shoaib and Asif can start off against you. Then Stain can come on first change. You've got Callis, and then you've got Muralitharan.
No, I've got a headache already.
Yeah, you see, that's one of those, we just pull a hamstring. Sorry, guys, next round. You charm the world with your unparalleled versatility in different types of sports and music. Are you building on more talents to surprise us in the coming years, or are you just wanting to be the best dad possible, heading off into retirement in a few years?
Yeah, so I think that's where I'm quite a deep thinker sometimes, KP, so a bit of a more purpose-driven life kind of thing. So I've always seen life as to influencing other people and sort of enhancing other people's situation. So I've got a big love for that. I haven't excelled as much as I've wanted to over the years with that, but and keeping on the low down and under the radar, but really just sort of doing good for the community, nature, the environment, other people who are having a tough time out there. And it doesn't matter who it is, and it doesn't matter how big the project is. I just want to be involved with that, really enhancing people's lives around me, and that'll be my main focus, I think. Well, it's always been, but after my career, I'll definitely try and excel a bit more in that.
Beautiful. If you had a chance to start all over again, would you do it any differently? Well, I don't know. I think my personality has it that I probably wouldn't be sitting here if I did anything differently, because like Mr. Devillier's has said the whole time, Snehal, you got to be true to yourself, and you got to do things that are right for you to get yourself into a position where you want to be hopefully successful in your way. AB, what was the level of intensity and pressure when you scored the fastest century in the world of 31 deliveries? Who was that against?
Yeah, I was West Indies in Johannesburg. The intensity was crazy. Pretty sure it was an interesting day. I mean, I didn't want to go in next. I went to the coach and I said, listen, Suleiman Ben's got a couple of overs left. Can we send David Miller in to take him down completely? And they kept pushing me in. So I said, listen, there's 11 overs to go. Just go and smack it. I remember feeling off balance. I stumbled down the stairs. I almost tripped. And before I knew it, I was like in the 90s and somewhere in the 20 balls.
Amazing.
The pressure then to me was, I remember my mom and dad was there that day. My dad always missed a lot of games throughout me growing up and also my career because he's a doctor. And then I felt like, you know what, I can do something special here. My parents are here. It'll just put the cherry on the cake. And that was the only pressure I felt throughout the day, but it was one hell of an experience.
Amazing. Buddy, I know you've got to go and do your testing because you've got to travel to Dubai and you've got to go and do everything that you need to do to get yourself into that bubble and ready for this year's IPL. Thank you so much for joining me on Let's Crack It with Unacademy. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I will no doubt have a microphone in front of your mouth when you do something very special in a couple of weeks in Dubai.
Thanks, KP. Thanks for your time, and to everyone for listening. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy. See you, boy.
Just KP.